So you're looking at Escondido, California, thinking about making a move, looking at 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋 community here made from TrueMark Homes. Before you put that deposit, you need to know the top 5 cons before you make that move. And we're getting after it right now. What's up, amazing people? I am Liz LaFleur here with the Mortgage Liz team located out of San Diego, California. And if this is the first time to my channel and you're looking to learn everything about what it's like to eat, live, sleep, and play here in San Diego, then this is the channel for you. You definitely want to click the subscribe button, tap that little bell so you're reminded every single time we release a new video, because honestly, we do it every single week. And honestly, I get phone calls every single day with people just like you making that move somewhere in San Diego, whether it's from a different state to San Diego or just a different part of San Diego to northern or southern San Diego. You definitely want to reach out to us if you're thinking about making that move. Give us a call, send us a text, or an email, whatever is easiest for you. You definitely want to reach out to us because we got your back when moving to San Diego. Now let's get after the top 5 cons you got to know before you put that deposit in 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋 community in Escondido. Okay, so first off, let's talk a little bit about 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋. Okay, so this is going to be located here in Escondido. They're building up 2 different styles, either the Groves or the Arbors. So you got a single story and then you got a 2-story home. So when they're finished building the entire construction of all their homes, they're going to be about 95 homes. So in the single story homes, that's going to be the Arbor community. And they're going to build about 57 homes for the single stories. And then there's going to be the Grove community, which is the 2-story. So in the 2-story, they're going to be building about 38 homes in total from the 95 here in Escondido. So we're going to be checking out the map to figure out kind of where it is in Escondido. You're going to find that it is not close to any freeway. So you definitely want to know that it's going to take you a little while just to get home. And one of the cons that we're going to be talking about today, you definitely want to be listening, because if you got kids, you want to know this information. So let's talk about the single stories first. Okay, so the single stories, they have actually 3 different plans ranging in square footage between 2,496 square feet all the way up to about 3,399 square feet. Remember that these are the single story communities when it comes to 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋. And then we have the Grove community for 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋 that's going to be ranging in square footage, again with 3 different plans between 3,100 square feet all the way up to about 4,043 square feet. Remember that those ones are the 2-story. So when you're looking at Escondido, you want to, again, know where that's at, know where it's located, so that way you can kind of get a better idea as to what to expect. Okay, so here we are on the map in Escondido. So you're going to find that Escondido in general is a very large city. There's about 150,000 plus population here in Escondido. So when you're looking at the city, you really want to know close to where it is actually located. So first thing is that you can see here in Escondido, it'll actually take you all the way up here to Valley Center. As we go into the city, we're going to go all the way in, and we're actually going to find this community over here by Glenview. So when you look at the community, you will actually notice that it's right here off of El Norte and East Lincoln. The 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾𝐋 community specifically is actually going up this hill right here. And you'll notice that they actually took away this nursery that used to be here. And this is actually some other new homes that were built over here on this side. Built about 5 to 10 years ago though. While they still are retaining their home value, that's kind of where the home value you're going to be finding, and that's coming in from 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾. A lot of the homes over here in Honeybell, you are going to be finding homes ranging $700,000 to $800,000. While you come over here on this side of town, you're not going to see the same home prices. It's just a different type of home, an older style home. And so that's when you look at some of what to expect when it comes to living here in Escondido, and especially the 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾 community. So next is, how do you get there from the freeway? Okay, so let's assume that you are coming from San Marcos, Oceanside, or Vista. That's going to be over here. And so as you come off, you're going to be taking that 78 right over here. Maybe you're coming either from Riverside County or Temecula. That's going to be this freeway right over here, the 15, right before you take that connector to the 78 to get back into Escondido. And maybe you're coming from, let's say, Rancho Bernardo. So that's going to be right over here where you're going to be looking at, you're going to be coming north on the 15 to be able, again, take that connector to the 78. Of course, you don't have to specifically take the 78 to be able to get to 𝐒𝐻𝐿𝐾, but you want to be able to know that it's kind of like the quick, easy way when it comes to the freeways. So moving on from there, you're going to be looking at either way from the 78 or from the top of the 15 or from the bottom of the 15. You're going to just take the 78 down here. And then you'll notice that right here, you're going to end up finding like the Toyota of Escondido. There's a Starbucks right here. There's also a Mexican market right over here as well. Then once you come down, you're just going to keep going. You'll notice that right here, the actual freeway does end for the 78 freeway, and it actually changes over to East Lincoln. If you remember some of the details that we just talked about, Edencrest community is actually located on East Lincoln. So you take the 78, changes over here to East Lincoln. You keep going all the way down the road. You'll find East Lincoln that takes you all the way down to the end, which is actually here where you're going to find the community. And then you go right over here. This is actually where they used to have the avocado groves, that sorts of stuff. They did actually take those all down, and now there's the homes that we're currently talking about. Edencrest made by TrueMark, that's actually what you're expecting right here. You'll also notice that it's right down from the Dixon Lake, so you may end up having an additional flood insurance when it comes to the Edencrest community, just depending on the flood map and the FEMA zoning to determine whether you're going to have to pay or not have to pay those additional insurances. So that's actually where you're going to find the Edencrest community, right here off of East Lincoln, okay? So with that being said, let's go on to the cons when it comes to Edencrest community and what you got to know before you move. Okay, so first on our list of all the cons here on Edencrest community here in Escondido, it's going to be the schools. Okay, look, so here in Escondido in general, we do not have the best school ratings according to schools.org, bestplaces.net, and niche.com. So when it comes to our schools specifically that are going to be affiliated to the Edencrest community, you're going to end up having the elementary school where you have the option from first grade all the way to fifth grade. That's going to be Glenview Elementary School. Right now, currently rated at 6 out of 10. That's again based off of schools.org. Then you got the Hidden Valley Middle School. So Hidden Valley Middle School is doing a little bit worse when it comes to the rating. And the rating at that point is 4 out of 10. Again, looking at the high school, now at high school, you're going to be looking at Orange Glen High School. Again, at that rating, you're going to be looking at 4 out of 10. So while these ratings may not be the best in comparison to some of the other schools here in Escondido, you end up to still be able to kind of ask for a school of choice to be able to get out of, let's say, that school and to push into a different school if that ends up being what you're looking for, or looking for a different type of education when it comes to your kids. In general, you want to be able to just kind of outweigh the information, outweigh the options. When it comes to the schools, you will end up finding that Hidden Valley does actually have a really good music and band program. While the rating may not be as amazing as maybe, let's say, another school like Bernardo Middle School, that is something that you want to be aware of because of their music program. That is pretty well done. And then you have, like, let's say Glenview. Glenview actually has a really good Spanish and education and helping program that my brother and sister actually went through when they were younger. And so when it comes to Glenview, while again, that reading may not be as amazing, it still has a really good education behind the program, while the score testing may not be as great. And then you have Orange Glen High School. Orange Glen High School has actually been one of the schools that has been known for a really good football program, as well as sometimes the softball and then the baseball programs. So you want to be able to kind of get some education as to why you're going to the different schools as well. Of course, you have the ratings in general. I myself have my kids where they love the sports. That in general is also important too. And you want to just be able to get the education, get the information that it comes to the school ratings. So on our top cons list, number one is going to be the schools, because honestly, they just don't have the best of ratings. Yes, there are other options such as Heritage. So Heritage School is actually a charter school located off of East Valley Parkway. That is actually really well rated here in Escondido, and as well as actually the state of California. The difference is though that is actually a lottery that you end up going through, and then depending on how many available spots there are within the Heritage School and depending on the grade, you're not going to be as likely to be able to get your acceptance. But the option of when you do get the acceptance is an amazing school. Another thing that you can definitely look out to is that right up the hill, you're going to be looking at Valley Center. So Valley Center, California, you're going to be looking at some additional schools as an option. You can always ask for an inter-district transfer out of Escondido to push yourself up to Valley Center schools. Of course, that is going to be totally a decision within the school district as to whether they're going to be able to give that to you or not. But that is another option when it comes to schools. Last but not least, of course, you still have San Pasqual Union Elementary. The Union Elementary does have a preschool program, also from 1st to 5th grade, which is their elementary program. And then also on the same campus, they also have a middle school program that takes them all the way up to 8th grade, right before they go into high school, which typically a lot of the kids there end up going to San Pasqual at that point. So it just gives you a lot of different options. So don't get too hung up on the schools in general, because there are a lot of other options that you can definitely look at. And honestly, there's like a classical academy here in Escondido. Since the pandemic has happened, there's been a lot of parents, a lot of kids opening up into the classical academy where they give them more options, meaning that they actually stay at home and learn, while still going into class more as a periodic basis, like 1 or 2 days out of the week, sometimes 3 days out of the week. That may be another option for you depending on your kid. I know that my kids have actually excelled during the ability of being at home. So that's just another option when you think about the different schools. So again, don't get too hung up when it comes to the school ratings. There are multiple options, especially here in the Edencrest community and in general within Escondido. And next on the cons, number 2 is going to be the earnest deposit and the amount of the earnest deposit. Okay, look, so the prices of these homes in Edencrest community are ranging anywhere between the middle $700,000 to the middle $800,000. So their deposit that they're asking for is 3% of the purchase price. So we're just going to go right in the middle. We're going to go about $800,000. So let's say $800,000, 3%, which is what they're requiring. So 3% of $800,000 is $24,000. So $24,000 is the actual deposit that they're going to require to be able to take the property, take the home off the market. So that way you are now going to be the one trying to buy it, whether it's technically right now, but not actually living into it for at least 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Some of the homes are actually not expected to be finished until 2022. So again, those $24,000, because they're asking that 3% deposit, maybe possible within your financial situation, maybe not as possible. And especially because you're going to be waiting and you're still going to end up renting for quite a period of time. Maybe that is something that's an option for you. But $24,000 to be able to hold a property of which you're not going to own yet for at least 3 to 6 to 12 months from now. In some cases, I have found with some of my clients, it's not the best of options for them at that moment because they need to be able to find a home right now, whether it takes them a couple of weeks. In some cases right now, a lot of my clients are taking more like a month to be able to get their offer accepted because there are so many buyers in comparison to the sellers that are on the market right now, but it's still not 3 to 6 to 12 months going into 2022 when it comes to that property that you're finally going to be living in. So again, 3% when it comes to that purchase price off of $800,000, you're looking at $24,000. So while it may or may not work for you, that is still a con, and it's a big amount of money that you're putting up to not be able to live into a home right now. And then on our next con is going to be number 3, is that if you want additional amenities when it comes to your home, they want more money. And that means 75% more deposit in comparison to what you want. So let's say you want higher end appliances, or you want a higher end rug or higher end flooring, or you want, that extra bedroom to be enclosed, or whatever the case may be. So you want extra amenities that are not included in the basic TrueMark Edencrest community home build out for the construction that they're doing right now. Then they want additional deposits. So let's say, for example, that those additional things that you want are going to cost you $20,000. Well, they want 75% of those $20,000 in additional deposits. So we just are buying a home of $800,000. 3% of that deposit was $24,000. And now you're going to add, let's say, additional electrical items. Well, they're going to require 75% of that amount. So let's assume it's going to be $20,000 for electrical stuff. We already know electrical stuff can get really expensive. So $20,000 out of the 75% is going to be $15,000. So we have our deposit for $24,000, that 3%, plus the additional $15,000. Now we're looking at $39,000 just to add the electrical. Okay, now let's talk about, hey, we're going to think about adding some additional flooring. We don't like that regular flooring that they want. Maybe you want some real wood or some, high-end cabinets or additional countertops. Maybe you want the granite that is maybe not included with the regular Edencrest community basic home. Well, when you do that, that's going to be, again, an additional deposit. So again, let's go back to those $20,000. So the $20,000, when it comes to those types of additional amenities, not the electrical, but let's say the flooring, the appliances, the countertops, they want an additional 50% money. So $20,000, 50% of the $20,000 is going to be $10,000. Okay, so now we've updated the flooring, we've updated the countertops, we've updated the electrical. Let's start adding that up. We're looking at a home at $800,000. 3% of that is going to be a total of $24,000. Plus the electrical, again, $20,000. They want 75%. That's $15,000. And then an additional, you're going to update those flooring and the countertops, an additional $20,000. Now that's going to be an additional $10,000. Now you're getting to $39,000 plus $10,000. Now you're at $49,000 just to be able to start up on your home. So of course, you're going to end up getting the credit for this money when it comes to your total down payment or wherever it ends up landing, whether you're wanting to push it over to your closing costs or just in general get the money back at the end. So yes, there is that option. So just because you're paying for the money right now doesn't mean that you're not going to get it back. Of course, you are financing those monies, that money that you're going to end up, upgrading the flooring, upgrading the countertops. But again, we're talking about $49,000. So sometimes it may work, sometimes it may not. It just depends on what you're looking at. So you just want to be aware that the extra things that you are adding up, one, it is going to increase your sales price. So we just talked about electrical plus some additional appliances, countertops. That's an additional $40,000 overall in the total. So now you're not buying an $800,000 home. Now you're buying an $840,000 home. So that's where it can get really expensive when it comes to a purchase of a new construction, just because you start looking at all, the glitz and the glamour and all of the extra amenities that maybe you can end up getting, and you start adding things up. When you start buying things from the builder, things can get kind of expensive. And at the same time, now they're asking for additional deposits. So then that can get kind of expensive. So as a con, yeah, putting in additional money, 75% of the electrical, 50% of the other stuff, appliances, countertops, flooring, that sorts of stuff, it can get pretty hefty. Next on our cons is going to be the HOA and the additional taxes. So let's talk about the HOA first. So at complete build out, which means that when all the homes are actually completely finished, so which we're anticipating somewhere in 2022, the total HOA at that amount is going to be $169. While when you first buy the home, and may they not be full built out, you're not going to be paying the $169. You're going to end up paying just a little bit lower. So just kind of give you a little bit of perspective is that when I first bought my home, it was an original new construction. At that time, we were paying closer to like $90 to $100 when it came to HOA amounts per month. But then when it finally got finished and all of the homes got built out, at that point in time, the amount that we were paying for, and we still are paying for, is about $150. The difference though is that did go up to about $160, and then they took it back down to $150. So right now we're at $150. Same concept when it comes to Edencrest. While right now you're not paying the $169 because you're not at full build out, that's anticipated in 2022. It is still something to anticipate. So when it comes to that $100, or let's say about $125 prior to the complete build out, you need to anticipate that a monthly amount when it comes to what's coming out of your pocket. So when you look at that when it comes to a sales price, rough amounts could be anticipated at the $150 per month of in general debt, or whether it's this HOA or additional fees for taxes, to be relative to about $30,000 right now based off of home prices, interest rates, principal and interest. It's kind of giving you the rough amount to what to anticipate. So technically, when you were looking at this HOA at about $169, it's going to be roughly, when it comes to a sales price, at about $30,000 to $40,000 in sales price. So not looking at the $800,000 home, but maybe looking at an $830,000 to $840,000 home. So just kind of gives you the variety to be able to see that that same money from HOA can technically buy you more, because you're in essence actually paying for the same exact monthly payment, except in HOA, you're paying it directly to Edencrest at that point because it's an HOA monthly due. Now, let's talk about the property taxes. So property taxes in general, when it comes to the County of San Diego, is at 1.25%. When it comes to the Edencrest community, you're going to find that you have additional property taxes, so additional assessments. So when it comes to those homes, you're going to be finding anywhere between $900 to $1,500. And out of the $1,500, so why $1,500, why $900? Well, that's all based off of the square footage and how big your home is. So the smaller the homes are, closer to, the smaller arbor homes, a single story, closer to that 2,400 square feet, you're going to be finding the annual property taxes, that extra special assessment, closer to the $900. But then you look at the Grove homes. So the Grove homes are the 2-story homes where their square footage goes up to about 4,043 square feet. At that point, you're going to be finding that additional property assessment is going to be closer to that $1,500 range. So depending on how big of a home you need or how big of a home you buy will depend on, obviously, that additional property assessment. So let's go back to the county taxes. The county taxes in general are at 1.25%, is what the anticipated amount is going to be when it comes to a county. So in general, whether you go to one lender or another, that is typically what you're going to end up finding. In 2019 to 2020, they're anticipating the property taxes at 1.15%. Keep in mind, property taxes are subject to change. They can go up and they can go down, all based off of the property value and what's happening inside the market. When it comes to that 1.15%, that is based off of 2019 and 2020 property taxes. While property values are in general increasing even during this pandemic, as we're finishing up this pandemic, hopefully soon, it is actually going to be anticipating that you're going to be paying quite a bit more than that 1.15 based in 2019, because home values in general in Escondido have been going up anywhere between 4 to 11 to 13%, depending on the area. So when it comes to those property taxes, you're going to be looking at closer to that 1.25% when it comes to the property taxes, plus the additional assessments that we were just talking about with the $900 to the $1,500. All of these monies are actually included typically inside your monthly payment unless you ask for otherwise. So while it seems like it's a lot of money overall, but when you kind of break it down into a monthly payment, it doesn't seem as big of a deal. So looking at, let's say $1,200 in total for property taxes, while this is not the property taxes for these homes in $800,000 range, but at $1,200, just to give you an easy assessment, $1,200 out of a 1 month calculation is $100 for a month for property taxes. So while the $1,200 seems like a lot, taking it down to a monthly range at $100 is not that big a deal. So while you're going to be paying additional property taxes and HOA when it comes to this community, that is definitely going to be a con that you got to think about. Also assuming that your property taxes and your escrow account will be reviewed every single year by your mortgage company, just to make sure that you have enough money in there. So after you own your home that first year, they'll revisit your escrow account. If your escrow account doesn't have enough money to cover the taxes as they have been increasing, then you're going to end up receiving an additional monthly payment statement that tells you that your payment's going up just a bit to be able to cover those taxes that were not calculated for when you first bought your home. Next on our cons when it comes to the Edencrest community here in Escondido is going to be kind of where it's located. So look, it's located kind of on a busy street when it comes to El Norte. So I'm going to take it to the map so that way you can see what to expect when you do end up buying your home. Remember though that when it comes to the Edencrest, they did actually put them up on top of the hill. They did remove that avocado field that they had there before. And so therefore, depending on where you are in the community, if you're at the top of the hill or kind of up the hill to the right, it won't be as big of a deal. But if you have some of the homes that are on the bottom, even like the model homes that are on the bottom, you're going to get a bit of road noise and you're going to get a bit of traffic trying to get out of the Edencrest community just to get onto El Norte and take yourself up to the 78 or the 15 freeway. Okay, so looking at where the homes are located, remember when we said that they're over here on El Norte Parkway. Kind of going back just a little bit to talk about the schools. So the schools are right here at Glenview. This is Orange Glen Elementary. You would actually not be going to the school while the community is actually right here. This street right here on East Valley and Bear Valley actually break up and take the kids that live on the communities to the right will go to Orange Glen, and then the kids that live to the left end up going to Glenview right over here, okay? So moving over, you have Hidden Valley Middle School. Again, El Norte Parkway does show our community right over here where Edencrest community is. And so when you're looking at Hidden Valley Middle School, you're gonna actually be taking up the street right here into North Citrus to be able to take it all the way down to get yourself over here to Reed, which is going to take you right over here to Hidden Valley. So that's going to be that middle school that we were talking about. Then looking a little bit further, we're looking at our high school. So the high school is going to be right down the street again, passing the Reed, which is going to be that middle school, taking the left right over here to Orange Glen High School. So those are the three schools that we were talking about. But we were also talking about the traffic. So when we talk about the traffic, you're looking right over here at El Norte Parkway. So remember what we said, that the homes are located right up here where it used to be the nursery, the avocado grove. So when you come down just a little bit, right in here, you're going to find these homes right in here on East Lincoln. It's going to take you right here. You can go up to El Norte Parkway. This is actually how it's going to take you to get either to the 78 or the 15 freeway. Both do actually connect when you go to El Norte Parkway. Right down here takes you all the way down, but then the hiccup is that it is quite a way to be able to get to either the 15 freeway that's right here, or if you're thinking about taking yourself to San Marcos, it's going to take you all the way this way. So the traffic just to get to the freeway is going to be a little bit longer of a commute just from the communities when it comes to over here, the Edencrest community, just to get to the freeway is going to be closer to like 15 to 20 minutes. And then depending on what time you leave, with the schools that are right here located at Glenview or if you're even kind of having to come this way because you end up getting, let's say, a transfer to another school, or let's start talking about like the middle schools that are right over here, or the Orange Glen High School that's over here. It's going to take you a little bit longer because you're going to end up getting into the traffic to be able to get to Orange Glen High School, and then even the middle school, because to get to the middle school, there's the back way that you go this way to Oak Hill and then come back around this way to be able to get to the middle school, or you can come up to Citrus and go this way to Reed to be able to get to that school. So there really is only kind of two ways in, two ways out. And then you look at the Orange Glen High School and it's the same situation. So you're going to be coming down Citrus, going over to Glen Ridge, or coming down Bear Valley and going into Glen Ridge to be able to get to the school. There is one additional piece though. If you end up coming right into here, because the school is actually here located, there's actually an extra entrance coming in here to get to the back side of the school, which is actually typically where some of the high schoolers do end up parking, is on the back side of the school. So when you look at the Edencrest community in general, you're going to anticipate a bit of traffic right over here just because this is kind of like the only way in, only way out. And then you keep looking right over here at El Norte. El Norte does actually take you right over here, and it'll take you all the way up to Valley Center. That's all the way up here. Okay, so you want to be able to just know that the traffic, and depending on what time you leave, it can get pretty bananas. The other thing that you want to be aware of is that this El Norte Parkway does actually take you right over here, and it takes you to what you can see here at Valley Parkway. So this connector right here on El Norte and Valley Parkway, because it takes you to Valley Center, there's only one way into Valley Center coming from Escondido, and that's it. You can come from the backside, which is the 78 freeway, and come down Cole Grade, which takes you to the backside of Valley Center. But when it comes to Escondido, this is the only way in, and this is a lot of traffic right at about 4 to about 5:30. So again, just the traffic in general is definitely a con that you got to look at. While you are over here, you may not anticipate the traffic that comes over here by Valley Center, but it is still something that you got to think about before you put that 3% deposit, the $24,000, plus the extra $15,000, plus the extra $10,000 down for the homes that are located right here. So while the Edencrest community is an amazingly beautiful community, so looking at square footage between that 2,400 all the way up to about 4,000 square feet, they have some amazingly beautiful views if you are on top of that mountain. Again, but top of the mountain, obviously you're going to pay just a little bit more in comparison to being at the bottom of El Norte, which is actually where we were talking about when it comes to those model homes. So just some things to be able to think about when it comes to putting that deposit down for the Edencrest community. Keep in mind that, of course, there are many homes that are selling right now. There are not as many sellers in this market as there are buyers. So it is a little bit difficult being able to, in general, get your offer accepted. So it does definitely take a really knowledgeable real estate agent and then that lender that's going to back you up. So when you are making that move or thinking about making that move, whether you're moving from a different city to San Diego and Escondido, or you're moving from a different state to Escondido, you definitely want to reach out to us. Give us a call, send us a text or an email, whatever is easiest for you. Because when you're moving to Escondido, we got your back here in Escondido for sure. Don't forget, every single week we are releasing new videos on this channel. Hey, and don't forget, you're getting some new videos popping up on your screen. And those videos are talking about everything about San Diego and what it's like to eat, live, sleep, and play here in Escondido too. And if you have a question about a community that I haven't covered yet, make sure to comment them down below. I am definitely watching those comments, and we want to make sure to cover as much of San Diego as possible. And until next time, see you later.